is up, everybody? ShonnyDman here, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Talk with ShonnyDman. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys had yourselves a nice long week, and we are back with a brand new guest, as per usual. So to get us started and going, tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Phia. I make videos on TikTok. Most of my stuff is mainly related to Star Wars, Spider-Man, stuff like that. And I also focus on cosplays and creating my own costumes.
Okay. Yeah, I think one of the first things I came across, because I found you on TikTok, and you were you're in a Spider-Man cosplay, and so which
Yeah.
seems to be your more popular videos, um, which I love. You look great uh, in it. Um, so what? So let's start with the cosplaying. How long have you been cosplaying?
Ooh, this is a little bit embarrassing, but when I was probably in middle school, I was really obsessed with Supernatural. And I decided I would do cosplay Castiel. So I completely got into it. I did like the 5 o'clock shadow. I had my hair in a pixie. I had the entire outfit. I got a trench coat and everything. And I really like embodied Castiel for that. Um, and that kind of like got me on the path of just like dressing up and getting into costumes. Um, and it's also part of my job. I am a party princess on like the side, so I do stuff like that, and that really got me into getting into like the character persona. And then I just kind of started building up costumes. I started collecting spider suits. I started sewing my own like raven cape, which went into having that cosplay as well.
You are, I believe, the third party princess that I've had on uh,
Really?
recently too. So I think there's one I did an episode with somebody in Arizona. She started her own party princess business, uh, and then one of the guests I had on a couple of weeks ago from who lives in Australia. She's also a party princess. So you're the third one, maybe fourth, but I'm pretty sure you're the third one. Um,
They are a
so
united front.
yeah, which I never really knew about party princesses growing up. Well, then again, I guess I wouldn't really have had any at my birthday parties. Now that I think about it, well, no, there's guys that do it too. So you probably could have like Darth Vader or something like that show up, but I didn't have had anything like that. So I didn't know much about them uh, till probably 2 years ago when a friend of mine, his daughter had a birthday party, and we had somebody come in as I think like Cinderella or Belle, one of the two. I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. So, yeah, how long you been doing that?
Ooh, I've been doing that since 2020. It was probably late 2020, early 2021. And I was recommended from an agency to do this. And I was reached out and they were like, hey, do you want to like dress up as a princess? And so I came in, I got my fitting um, and they put me in my first costume, which was an Anna costume. And I went to a kid's birthday party 2 days later. Had no idea what I was doing. I had to learn all the songs again and be able to sing those and do face painting, which was a really big learning curve because I've never painted on a human face before. Um, but really, that's where I like got my Spider-Man persona because we had a Spider-Man costume there, and I was like, I want to try that on, and I just fell in love with it, and I was like, I'm gonna do this.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I love Spider-Man so very much. Uh, so and also you did. I know on your probably your Instagram. I don't know if I seen it in your TikTok, but your Instagram, you have a Raven cosplay that you've also done.
Yes. So I have done a few TikTok videos on it. It wasn't really one of my bigger things, but people do ask me like how I made the cape or where I got the cape from, and I'm like, I made it. And then they usually get kind of mad about that because I feel like a lot of people don't believe you. When you say, "Oh yeah, I made this," they just kind of assume that you're hiding where you got it from. Um, take like 4 days of hand sewing to complete that. I made it entirely myself. I bought the fabric. I still have extra fabric. Um, but that was one that probably took the longest to set up for all of the materials, all of the patterns and planning, as well as like creating the belt and gluing everything together and, saving up to buy the suit. And all of that really took a long time to put together. And I'm planning to do a photo shoot with that recently, but I have to get my hair dyed purple again for that.
Have you been to any like cons in your area?
So I have not. I really wanted to go to Comic Con. I was not able to make it, but I have gone to VidCon, which was a lot of fun. I got to go to a few panels, I wasn't in a panel, but I did get to view the panels. I would like to clarify. Not there yet, but um, it was a lot of fun. I got to meet a huge amount of people. I got to vlog it, which used to be on my YouTube, but I don't really use my YouTube that much anymore to make videos. But that is one thing that I used to go to, and that was a lot of fun. The last time I went was in 2019.
Okay. Which one? Which con were you? What's a con near you that you want to go to sometime soon?
Um, I don't really know. I would really like to go to Comic Con this upcoming year. Um, I did see like Fanime, which seems really cool. And they have like a lot of cosplayers and a big cosplaying presence, which is in I think downtown San Jose usually, um, which is like 30-ish minutes away. So I think that that's probably one of the more manageable ones that I would plan to go to
Okay.
next.
Okay. Okay. So when you're not cosplaying or party princessing it up, what does your free time look like?
Ooh, I don't know if you can hear this, but I spend time with my cats, who is going absolutely insane with this toy on the side right now. Um, I do play guitar, so I learned that. I'm part of a band,
Oh,
and I play a lot, which I also stream.
you do. I definitely have seen your stream pop up multitudes of times. So I think you did one last night.
Last night,
You
I
had
think
a
I did it a
sewing.
few
I think you
nights
had
ago.
like a sewing kit or a sewing
Oh,
machine
yeah,
going.
yeah, that's true. I completely forgot about that. Yes, I did do that. I do sew a lot of my costumes. So that was one that I was sewing a new pattern. So I'm testing out a pattern before I actually use my better fabric for it.
Mm, okay, okay. Uh, so how long you been playing guitar?
That one has been a little bit on and off. I first learned in middle school, and my grandfather kind of helped me learn more chord progressions. Um, and so then I just kind of taught myself on my own, little finger picking and stuff like that. In my band, though, I'm not the guitar player. That is my amazing counterparts. That's Nora and Jesse. They are amazing, and I love them and appreciate them. I'm just the singer, so
Oh,
I get the easy part of that.
what's your band name?
We have not created our band name yet. We are still in the process of that. We've met a few times, we've practiced, but until we actually put it out there and we get a drummer, we don't want to make a band name without a drummer.
And how long has this band been going on?
Let's see. This one has been going on since I think early 2023. I met them and they're in San Francisco. So they're really far away. I usually have to take the train to get to them.
Oh, wow.
So there is a little bit of a curve with that. So we are trying to figure the logistics out, especially with our colleges and so on with our jobs and everything.
Man, that's what's the future of that look like for y'all? Or have you like thought that far ahead? Like what's the next let's say 2 to 3 years look like for your band?
I would really like to have band name to start off with. And we would really like to get a drummer that's set in stone and meshes well with us. We would really like to start putting out music once we are able to. We have the setup and everything, but then again, we just need our drummer. And then hopefully start doing small gigs for little events and such like that. Maybe do restaurants and everything.
What kind of genre of music are we talking here?
So it's more like alternative rock, very gentle, like indie music, um, kind of like Beach Bunny-ish. So with that mixed with kind of like Dominic Fike. So kind of like that essence of what we practice on our own.
And so you're the singer. Do you also like write the songs?
I do have songs that I've written, but we also have Jesse who writes all of the music that
Oh,
I would
okay.
have to write songs. So he does, they do a lot of really amazing guitar and bass instruments. And so whenever I hear it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to write a song to this. And so it really works out.
Nice, nice. Uh, so what's so you're looking for a drummer. So what's is there a particular type of drummer you're looking for, or are you just kind of like when you meet the drummer, you know that's your drummer kind of thing?
Yeah, so we are currently doing test runs and kind of like auditions for that. So we'll meet with them, we'll play a few songs and see if we mesh well together and just see how they treat us, how they treat the band. And if there's kindness and if there's click together, then we have our drummer. If not, we're just waiting for that. We would rather not sacrifice um, our integrity for
Right.
someone that can really play amazing. Like that doesn't really matter to us as long as they, are kind and great people that we can do
They're,
music together and have fun with.
they're not
That's
a
a lot more
douche,
important.
basically.
Yeah.
so, so you're in college right now.
Yes.
What are you going to school for?
So I already have my associates in psychology. So now I'm moving on to university to complete my undergraduate, also in psychology. And I'm going to be going towards intensive. So eventually I'll start doing internships at clinics, crossing my fingers on that, and get more experience, and then going for my master's.
What what made you want to go down this particular career path?
So I started therapy when I was really young. It was right after my grandmother passed away, and I really needed help to just cope with all of that and just depression because I was really predisposed to that with like my family and everything. And I found an amazing therapist who talked me through everything. I found an amazing team that was able to, mesh with me and get all of that figured out. And I really resonated with that. And I wanted to give that to other people. So I really wanted to make that like my career path.
Oh, that's okay. I think I did a little bit psychology courses in college, but that was more like a minor. It wasn't like a full career path. Uh, it was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. I think I was very interested by. I believe this was a psychology experiment. What is it? The Stanford Project. If that's what it's called. I don't know if you heard of it or not.
Um,
I think that's what it's called.
do you have what was involved with it?
They were like just they took some people and did like basically kind of like see how long they could go without sleeping. Um, I'll have to brush back up on it because it's been a while. It was an interesting experiment.
I have heard of that, and um, if you were interested, there is a very similar experiment that went down. It was called the Minnesota Sleep Experiment, and that was incredibly crazy. They wanted to see how long people could go without food and then kind of turn that into um, like slowly giving it back in, but they weren't allowed to eat any portions outside of that. And it was bizarre. I did an entire deep dive on it. Um, and the people, even now, the men that were in that experiment really are affected for life. They still look at like pictures of food because they weren't allowed to eat it.
Hmm.
So like one person became like super obsessed with looking at recipes. Oh, I'm sorry. I said the Minnesota sleep experiment? I think it was the starvation experiment. I want to correct that. But it was so bizarre and so interesting, and it really set like the curve for making sure that ethics were involved in their and psychological experiments, because before there was nothing.
Right.
Before they were inviting people to testing rooms and giving them syphilis and seeing what happened and seeing like just without treatment what would go wrong. And that's not a great thing to do. So
Right.
ethics was vital in that. So having that as one of those parts was really interesting to learn about.
Yeah. Psychology is definitely something. Um,
Yeah.
so you mentioned you're also a lover of Star Wars.
Yes.
So I take it that you have been watching the Ahsoka series. Uh, what what's your favorite Star Wars movie or show that you've watched up to this point? I know there's a
Okay.
lot. So
So I really do love Revenge of the Sith. Um,
okay.
so that would one of the movies that I really enjoy. But I am in love with Clone Wars. I watched it and I just became obsessed. I actually was very upset when I was watching Ahsoka and they showed Anakin, and I was like, he wouldn't say hello, Snips. He would say, hey, Snips, because we watched this entire Clone Wars. Go, hey, Snips. Yeah, Snips. Don't worry, Snips. Like, he's very relaxed about it. So hearing him say hello, Snips was just like caught me off guard. I was like, that doesn't sound right. But yeah, I was in love with Clone Wars.
Uh, yeah, because I was texting a friend. I was messaging a friend of mine. So like after episode 4, I messaged her and I was like super excited because I think we all kind of figured um, Hayden Christensen was going to be in this series, but wasn't sure what capacity he was going to be in. And then we get episode 4. He looks great. I was very excited to see him. But then episode 5 with the Clone Wars flashback, he looked great in that Clone Wars animated series look. Then uh, Captain Rex looked amazing. Love this. I was very excited. I texted her and I was just like, I could not stop smiling the entire throughout this entire episode. I was because she said that she couldn't stop smiling or crying. I was just like, that's understandable. Because I grew up. with the prequel movies. Uh,
Mhm.
so Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and even the little, I don't know if you ever saw it, but before the Clone Wars series, there was another Clone Wars series. It was like a little, it wasn't the animation that we had, but it was Star Wars Clone Wars. It kind of took that spot in between episodes 2 and 3, and
Yeah.
um, you could probably find clips of it on YouTube, or if you have Disney Plus, I think it's on Disney Plus. But so I really love that. But then obviously 2008 comes around and we get the kind of that claymation Star Wars, the Clone Wars movie. And ever since then, I loved it. I loved all things Clone Wars, but just seeing, just because it was really, because again, growing up during the prequels, a lot of people hated Christensen and everything, but just to see the amount of like fan love that he's gotten over the years, especially I think it was Star Wars Celebration in London this past year, and he just got everybody was he came out on stage and everybody was excited to see him, and he's killed it in not only Kenobi but in Ahsoka as well.
Yeah. I I am completely obsessed with just the rise and fall of Anakin. Um, I could talk about him for hours. He was just, I cried so hard the final episode of Clone Wars. I was like, oh, that got me right in the heart. Um, but it was really an amazing show.
I and that, I'm glad because they brought back Tim Morrison, who was the voice of Jango Fett in the Attack of the Clones. You know what, and I was fine. I told my friend I was fine if they had him or what's his name, D. Baker, who does the voices for the animated clones. I would have been fine with either voice doing the clones. But I am low key glad they brought Tim Morrison back to do it, just because he was, the first one, do Jango Fett and then the Clone Troopers. But man, I have really loved the Ahsoka series. It is definitely top tier Star Wars. Not to hate on the other project that has come out, but they're good in their own individual way. Like I love Andor. I very much love Andor. Just that kind of slow burn spy thriller kind of vibe you get from it. The
Mm-hmm.
Book of Boba Fett was it was fine for what it was. Obviously, there are some missteps here and there with it. Obviously, the Mandalorian is the Mandalorian, although season 3 was a mixed bag here and there. Um, and then the movies. I mean, I watched all of them. Um, out of the prequels, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite. Out of the originals, probably Empire Strikes Back, and then the sequel trilogy. That was tough uh, because they're interesting their own way. But I think Force Awakens is probably the best one out of the three. And then obviously you have like Solo and Rogue One, which I love Rogue One.
Yeah, I feel like Rogue One was very, very popular. Um, I personally, I no hate to the actors or anything, because I obviously cannot do what they do. But I just thought like Rey saying like Skywalker, like that she was Skywalker
Oh yeah.
when there was so much evidence. Like I was like, what? They're just pulling it out of like thin air. What are they doing? Um, but I really enjoyed like almost pretty much all of them.
Yeah,
I
yeah. Yeah,
first
that's just wild. It's
I first got into Star Wars in like when I was really young. I watched it with my dad, and then in fourth grade, I remember we watched Empire Strikes Back with my teacher. He was like, "We're gonna watch Star Wars. For those of you that haven't seen it before, we're gonna watch it." And I was like, "Oh my god, yes!" I was so excited. Um, but yeah, I love the movies. I think that some of them are a lot better than others, but all of them are great and go into our story of the series and everything.
yeah. Have you played any of the Star Wars games?
I've played the Lego Star Wars. Um, I I the one that was like on Xbox 360. Um,
Oh,
so that yeah, it's dated. Um, I really do want to play the newer Star Wars Battlefront and everything. I just haven't gotten the chance to.
yeah. You should really. I would say so. Obviously, obviously they did kind of a revamp of the Battlefront series because there's the ones that are out now, but there were two original ones that came out just after Attack of the Clones. There's Battlefront and Battlefront 2, and you're basically playing as clone troopers fighting throughout the Clone Wars. Really, the most favorite one is Battlefront 2 that came out in 2005, maybe 2006, somewhere along those lines. And uh, you're basically a clone trooper of the 501st, and you're going throughout the Clone Wars and into the Empire. So you're doing missions and stories that revolve around Order 66, the Battle of Hoth, uh, the Battle of Yavin, Geonosis. So it's a pretty fun, uh, very popular game. And then obviously, you have the two newer ones um, that are really fun as well. So you need to definitely get in. You need to find time and get into them.
I know. I'm planning on hopefully streaming it. It is on one of my lists. I have a long list of like recommendations. I usually do polls on my Instagram on what people would want to see, and I do like a multiverse of games. That's like my new little section of Twitch that I do. So I've been doing such things like Outlast and let's see, Outlast. I do have to do Dead by Daylight, like all of those.
Did you play a Minecraft the other week?
Yes, I do. I'm it it was probably one of my first video games that I ever played. I played it when I was in fifth grade. Um, I was obsessed with it. I had it on Pocket Edition on my iPad. I had it on computer. I was the Bedrock Edition. Now I have the and the Java Edition. I I could go on for hours about that. It's so cute.
Because I
It just
have
never.
yeah, because I have the notification on for I think your Twitch, and I think one of the first times it went off, and I saw you were playing Minecraft. I was like, ugh, okay. I don't care for Minecraft at all, but that's just me.
Fair enough. To each their own. I won't yuck your yum.
So, uh, so are you going to do like any kind of so since we're getting close to October, are you going to do any kind of like scary gaming for Twitch or anything like that?
Definitely. I am. So I have put Alien Isolation back on my list,
Oh, that's
as
such a
well as
long game.
Outlast. I know, but
Oh,
it it the jump scares, they get me every
oh
single
yeah,
time, and I feel like people really love to just see people terrified
yeah.
on video streams. So, that's definitely going to be one that's a little bit spooky, more related to that. So I'm definitely going to be leaning into my horror genre list. So
What's on that list now?
yeah, that's going to be so definitely Outlast, Dead by Daylight, Alien Isolation. I have other ones on Game Pass on my Xbox, so I actually don't know all the names of them, but I'm just going through them.
So you need to.
Oh, I did
I don't know if you
12.
have it or not
Which,
on your list,
mhm.
but you should add. I think you. It's not on Game Pass, so you were more. You probably will have to buy it, but uh, you should buy Until Dawn. What do we ask? Do you like games like horror? Well, I guess games in general that are decision based. So like your decisions affect the outcome.
Yes.
Okay.
I played 12 minutes. I was obsessed with it. It took me so long to figure it out. I think it took me like 12 hours. But decision games, I love them.
So there's you need to play Until Dawn, the Dark Picture Anthology series. So there's four right now. There's Men of Medan, Little Hope, House of Ashes, and The Devil in Me. Which The Devil in Me is based. That game is kind of based off the real world killer of H.H. Holmes, I believe. So there's that. Uh, the Quarry. It's not on console. It's more on PC right now. It's supposed to come to console, but Phasmophobia. If you're a fan of ghost hunting, definitely get that. Um, what other horror games is there? I think those are the main ones I know about at the moment. Yeah, I think so. Um, because we're doing the same thing for my channel next month. We are playing some spooky games, and so one of the one of the guests, I might even get you involved. I have to figure that out. Since you've never played some of these games, it's gonna be very fun. We are doing the Dark Picture Anthology. So me and a guest that I've had on a while back, she's coming back on, and we're playing those two. We're playing the House of Ashes and the Devil in Me, and then I have some other people where we're gonna. I haven't played Dead by Daylight before, so I might do a little bit of that, but like Phasmophobia, that kind of thing. So
All right. All right.
it's be fun. But yeah, Alien Isolation. That is. I watched the full gameplay of that, and I was just like, oh my god, this game is like really long.
Yeah.
So how long do
I
you
I
typically
watch
stream?
alien movies with my
Oh,
dad. We just go deep dives on movies. Once we start, we just go through them. So watching that, um, I was obsessed. I was like, oh, this is great. I'm getting scared. I can like predict these. Um, there was a cat in one of them, which was not great, but uh, they always choose to kill off a cat. It seems like.
uh, yeah, I love the Alien movies. Alien 3, it's fine. It's not bad, but it's also not as good as the first two. That and then Alien Resurrection. I liked it for what it was, and then obviously we got Prometheus and Alien Covenant, which I love those. I think I like Prometheus a little bit more than Covenant. Um, but yeah, the Alien movies, like the one scene that terrified me as a kid, and I think I was just like randomly watching this at one night. It's the original Alien, and it's that scene that has, I believe it's Lambert and what is the black guy's name? Parker? I think it's Parker. Uh, it's that scene where like it's because it's only like three of them left. Basically, it's like Ripley, Lambert, Parker, and they're doing work, and it's that creepy shadow where like Lambert's moving some canisters, and the alien like slowly creeps up, and like you can just see its shadow, and it just terrified me as a kid. It's like the imagery, the screaming, it like just I was like, oh, I don't like this. I'm gonna cry now.
Yeah, I saw Sigourney Weaver on that, and I was like, oh, I'm doing a costume of that. So I do have something set up for that as well, which will eventually be more present, but I'll definitely put a video up for that. But I saw it and I was like, I'm gonna do one of that. I think that I got really scared when she was like trying to get into, she was in the closet, I believe, and she didn't realize that the alien was there, and then she then became known, and she was just like, oh my goodness. And I was like, oh, I was just like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? So yeah.
Um, and so, have you ever watched the Predator movies?
Yes, I have watched them. I was a little bit younger when I did, so I don't know if I could recall much of it, but I remember watching and just being like, "Oh my goodness, this is interesting." Um, I would definitely die. I would not make this.
Oh man, I love the Predator movies. They're good. They're good. Are you a big are you like into horror movies also?
100%. I love
Okay.
horror movies. I love psychological thrillers. All of that.
Okay. Because my friends are not big lovers of like anything horror. And so it's just kind of like, so whenever there's like a horror movie that comes out, it's like, well, I guess I'll just go see it by myself since none of you want to go watch a horror movie. Um, what's some good horror movies that you've seen?
Ooh, I'm sure that a lot of people know about these, but A24 is an amazing film production company, and they put out not only Hereditary but Midsummer. Mid Hereditary was the first one that I ever saw, and I watched it. And once it ended, I was like, "Hold on, I need to read about this." And I probably did 2 hours of research on it, just going into like details of the little Easter eggs that they put in them, which all led up to the final scene. And I was like, this is so bizarre. I can't believe that they would think of this. And then I was like, oh, Midsummer's coming out. I'm going to watch this. And that one was so intense. I did have to take breaks during some parts because I was like, this is a little bit of a tough watch, even for me. And so, but that was a really good one as well.
Okay. Uh, a movie you should check out is The Strangers. That's a pretty fun movie. Uh, I really like I really like the cheesy, like low budget B C rated horror movies. Like it's not blood, but like corn syrup, that kind of thing. Like the acting's not that great. I I enjoy those. I don't know why, but I just enjoy those. So, um,
I let's see. I don't know if they do count as horror, but they're not really that scary. But I have seen all of the purges. I think only just not the first one, but I've seen all the purges in theaters. I think that they were usually released on 4th of July. I could be wrong, or near 4th of July, but I would always go and see them the day of, and I was like, I am ready to watch this. And each time I was like, this is great. Um, but there have been a lot of uh horror movies on Netflix that's how I really got like more exposure to it, such as like The Witch. I don't know if it's called The Forest, but it revolves around
oh, I love The Witch.
one of their friends. Oh yeah, it's a good one.
It's good.
But it did revolve around their friend dying by like a robbery gone wrong, and so they go into the forest as like
What the heck is that? The Ritual.
the ritual. Yes,
Oh
that
man, I
one.
love that.
Oh, I love that one. Yeah, that one was amazing.
Oh man, that movie. Like I just randomly came across it on Netflix, and I was just like, okay, let me just check this out. And I watched it. Like, oh my gosh, this is wild. Like it freaked me out. There was some wild stuff in that movie. But oh man, the witch. That's a whole nother level of a movie that I've ever seen. Oh my gosh. Have you ever watched M. Night Shyamalan's The Village?
I can't say that I have.
It's pretty good. One of his better movies, in my opinion. Obviously, his worst is the that last Airbender. Uh, but The Village is pretty good. Um, and then so what's another? A movie you should check out. It's called Trick or Treat. It's not a it's a main movie, but it's like different Halloween segments baked into it. So it's like it's I guess like it's more like an anthology kind of movie. It just tells different stories during Halloween. It's really good. Pretty I think it was up there for some awards at one point. Uh, the original Jeepers Creepers is pretty good. Uh, Midsummer. I never watched that movie, but I watched a person do a reaction to that movie, and I was just kind of like, I'm kind of, I don't know what I just watched.
Yeah. It leaves you kind of like, what what is going on?
Uh, it,
Um,
it,
it
oh man.
it it kept surprising me, and I don't know if it was in a good way, but I would probably not watch it again. I don't think I could handle it, but no, it's a great movie in my opinion.
Um, I think it's on Netflix still. I could be wrong, but there's a movie on there called Hush, and
Yes, sign language one, right?
yeah,
Correct.
yeah. That's good. I enjoyed it. I really love that movie. I was like, you ever get to a point where you're watching movies, whether it's horror or it's primarily horror, but you're like, you kind of like are so invested into it that you're kind of like every time they do something stupid, you're like, why did you do that? Why did you come on? What are you doing here? That was that movie.
Yeah, that one. Oh, the final scene on that one. That one freaked me out. Um, there. So the main character in that is actually married to the director, and he's put out other shows like Midnight Mass. If you haven't watched it, I would really recommend watching it. Great show. Um, and he's put out other things. I can't recall them off the top of my head, but he has created so many that I have watched. And I've sent him a DM. I was like, hey, I just really love your work. I think your wife is amazing. Just A plus. So maybe one day he'll see it. I'm very much a fangirl at heart.
um, let's see on Netflix. So, there's also they're not like really scary, but if you're kind of into that thing, but it's like the Fear Street trilogy. Uh,
Yes, I I've heard of Fear Street, but it's not because I've watched it. It's because most of the comments say that I look like Emily Rudd, who is I don't know what her character's name is. I think it's Cindy. Um, I could be wrong, but a lot of people tell me that I look like her. Ever since One Piece, the live action One Piece came out, they're just like, "Oh my gosh!" Every single live I have, "Oh my gosh, you look like Nami. You look like Nami from One Piece.
I
You look like
mean,
Emily Rudd." And I'm like, I don't see it too much, but you know.
um, and then let's see. I love the Scream movies. Um, which
Yes.
which I did so surprisingly I did like a little YouTube short a couple of weeks ago where like I kind of ranked them all, and needless to say, after like 11,000 views and 600 comments, it was very divided in that comment section about the ranking of these movies. I was like, okay, all right, everybody, calm down. Let's just settle down here.
I stepped on.
so, uh, but yeah, and so let me see what else. When a
Ever
stranger,
seen
so oh
oh yes.
no, go ahead.
There is one movie that I watched, and some of the time I just like couldn't help but laugh at how in insane and weird it was. It's called The Babadook. That was one of like the movies that I watched when I was younger, and I think I was in middle school when I watched it, and I was like, that's interesting. And then it became like a huge thing on Tumblr about like the Babadook being just like an LGBTQ like character, and I was like, that how did you get to that? But it, there's like the Babadook wearing like a bisexual pride T-shirt, and I'm just like, how did we get to that though?
Um, I don't think I've heard of it, but I've never watched that before. Um, I'll definitely need to check it out. There's one, I don't know if it's on Netflix now, but there's was it Gerald's Game? I don't know if you've seen
I
that or
don't
not.
think I've.
So the plot is basically around a married couple, and their marriage is kind of like failing at the moment, and so they're going away for a weekend to like a cabin that they have, and kind of like spice up their relationship, kind of thing. And it gets kind of so to spice it up, they try to do they try to do little like sexy play and stuff like that, and he like handcuffs her to the bed, that kind of kinky stuff. Well, he takes like Viagra or something along those lines and has a heart attack and die while she's still handcuffed to the bed.
That's unfortunate.
It is. It is. Um, but I don't want to like ruin the movie for you, but you should go check. You definitely need to go check it out. It's actually a pretty good movie. It's there's some interesting plot points in it that I liked. But yeah, it's a pretty wild movie. Um, and then what is another one? What's another good horror movie that I like?
There's the Visit, where it revolves like around two kids going to see their grandparents, and it kind of
Oh
goes
man,
wrong. That one was a good one.
that was wild. That was just oh my god, that was wild. Yeah, yeah, I remember watching that. I remember the trailer for it. I was just like, oh, I really want to see that, but I forgot about it for a while, and then I saw it on one of the streaming services a while back, and I watched it, and I was just like, oh my god, that's wild. Uh,
Yeah,
Netflix
and
had
there.
a movie.
Oh, oh yeah.
Uh, I don't remember the name of it, but Netflix had a movie that was based off that suicide forest in Japan.
Yes, that one I think is actually called The Forest. I think that's what I
Oh,
was
okay.
getting confused with. That one also is really good.
Oh yeah, that was good. I just there you ever like get to a point where you're watching horror movies and you can kind of feel like something scary is about to happen, and so you kind of like pull up your phone and like pretend you're kind of like half watching, that way you don't get fully scared. I had to do that a few times just because I was like, oh, I know something scary is about to happen, but I don't like fully want to commit to watching that scene. So
Yeah, I feel that 100%.
um, and then
There is
mhm.
this like very comedic horror movie. I think Cody Co actually did a video of it as well, like a reaction video called a Velocipaster, which is like an Amazon Prime one.
Oh, I heard of that.
It's one of those that's like more down here,
It
but it's very cute to watch.
oh my gosh. It looks the way it sounds, kind
Yeah.
of movie. So oh my gosh. I had a guest on a couple of weeks ago, and she was telling me, and she's not like a full blown actress, but she has been in some shows and things like that. I think she said she was in what is that? Winona Earp? What is that show called? I had some way I can. Oh dang! Now she's gonna get mad at me because I can't remember the name of the show that she was in. But anyway, it was interesting as we were talking, and I asked her about like being in some, some shows and things like that, and she was telling me about how she, you've seen Stranger Things, I would assume.
Yes.
So we were talking about it, and she was telling me how uh, she got called in. I believe she got called in to just rehearse on a role for an upcoming
Mhm.
Netflix project. That it wasn't given a name or anything like just yet, but the the character description was for this first season was, they needed a girl with to be, and she would have to have a shaved head kind of thing. I was just like, okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then she was talking about it. She was like, no, I don't think, because she didn't know if she needed to like shave her head for the audition or what. So she kind of passed on it. And then a couple of months later, Stranger Things is announced. And I was like,
Actually, talking about, I'm not completely sure, but I have heard of a person doing a story time on that.
uh, yeah, yeah. Let's see, it was Valiant Fox is her name. And
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, she's the one I had on a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about it, and I was like, hold on a second. So you're gonna sit here and tell me that you had the opportunity to potentially play 11 in Stranger Things? And she was like, "Yep." I was just like, "Oh my god!" I was just like, "Oh my,
I,
that's I can't believe that." So, oh man, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's who it was, and so she was very fun to have on. Have you followed her for a while?
um, I don't. I followed her more recently. Um, I think it was because of that video. Um, but I believe that Valiant Fox, she's the one that does the Serena.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, yeah. That's I've seen one of her things, and I was like, oh, she's so cool. I'm gonna follow her.
yeah. Oh she was very very fun and awesome to have on. It was very fun her telling me about her acting career and things like that. So I think we're working on collaborating on some more content and things like that. I try to like incorporate people into like content stuff like that. Um, but yeah, so yeah, she was awesome. I really enjoyed talking to her. That's like episode 45, maybe. I don't know. I've done 51 of these episodes by now, so I'm kind of like hard to remember everybody's episodes. But yeah, it was pretty good conversation. But yeah, man, uh, yeah, I just love horror movies. They're good. They're solid. Uh,
Yeah.
I guess it just depends on the horror movie. I mean, there are some horror movies like I'm kind of like, you're okay, I guess. But like The Conjuring, love them. Sinister, love it. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
Sinister. I probably have. I have sometimes a very hard time recalling names.
No, yeah, I completely understand. I completely understand. Um, but yeah, that's definitely. But so what is the rest of your weekend? Well, at the time of recording, it's the weekend. But like, what's the rest of your weekend look like, and what are your plans?
Currently I ago I ended
Oh,
up getting a fever, and I was like, oh, if I want to go back, and then it rolled around. I'm like, I'm going back. Um, but it's so much fun. I always have a blast. I get to like see animals. I do watch pigs race. You get to watch like horse and horse practice. You can go into like this really cool like bug room exhibit where you can see just I think the monarchs where they're hatching. It's and they also have amazing food. I get funnel cake almost every single time.
Well, I do love funnel cake. So, but all right, guys. I think that is where we will end this week's episode of Nerd Talk. Thank you so much for coming on. As per usual, you should see it on screen now for those who are watching on YouTube. Um, you should see how these are all the ways you can follow and support. But for those who are listening on podcast, how can they follow and support you?
Yes, for those on podcast, all of my social media is under Xland. I have Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, all of that. And I post all about Twitch and streams to partake in polls and everything if you want your voice to be heard. And my DMs are always open.
uh, yeah, so very much fun having you on. Definitely will work on or come up with some ideas to get you back on. Maybe we'll do something for October. Uh, but yeah, it was very fun having you on. I appreciate you for doing this.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
No problem. All right, guys, you know the drill. Hit that like and subscribe button, comment below, and we will see you guys in the next video. See ya.